immediately went to George as if he was the Encyclopedia Britannica. And this is after he had spoken. And then I got to see the candidate of Mike Rendino, his sister, nice woman. I met her family. I met the other members of the Rendino family. You know, I learned to mother with children and has dedicated her life to the healthcare field. Obviously a resident of the area, went to school in the area, and that's all great. But then when it got into issues, there's nothing there. Not even a mentioning of upzoning. And then when she mentioned crime, which obviously affects every city council area in the city, there's no area any longer that can say it's not impacted by crime. She said to everybody there, and I was shocked, she said, you know, it's so good, we're in a low crime area.
Yes.
Low crime area.
That's why we need you.
I looked to Arnold, who was with me, who's been with me for 46 years in the Guardian Angel. I said, Arnold, are we in Utah today? What the hell are you talking about? There are no low crime areas in New York City.
That's why we need
Catalytic converters, 2 minutes under the car, gone. Cars, chop shop, gone. Home invasion, break-ins, businesses being broken into on a regular basis, people being held up at gunpoint, carjackings. Arnold was just telling me he owns a house in a nearby area. He said, there's a carjacking right on East Tremont in broad daylight. Never happened before. On this side of East Tremont. The other side of East Tremont, the west, it's a whole different world. So I said right away, nice woman, but not ready for prime time. That's what I always say, not ready for prime time. And then there was another woman who was running. I forget her name. Seemed very pleasant, very nice. And it was like 2 for 2. Okay, I know a little bit about you, know what you've done. That's good. You have credibility in terms of being in the community. But position-wise, it was vapid. So I said, not ready for prime time. So when I left with Arnold, I said, the man who is ready for prime time, who's ready to represent your community as the next city council person to take on that ultraditor, that traitor, that backstabber, Marjorie Velasquez, I give you George Havranek.
Ladies, thank you everybody for coming out here. It is an honor. I'm honored. I really am, and I'm humbled. I'm humbled by the support that you guys have shown. You know, when we look around, we have to know one thing. There's one thing that has to be hammered home. We were betrayed. Plain and simple. There is no other way to put it. Our current council member, the Democrat Marjorie Velasquez, she was devious, she was deceptive. She went into every community and told a lie. Told everyone, I'm with you. And when it came down to the 11th hour, what happened? Deception at its finest. She turned on the community. She betrayed us. She lied to us. She is the Bruckner betrayer, the Throg's Neck traitor. That's what she is. And that's what she will remain. And that is one reason we have to get rid of her. She must be voted out. Now, no matter how you slice it, there are people that think they're qualified, and that's fine. But I will put my record up. There is no one in this race, no one, that has gone after her. I called her out from day one, and I walked the walk, and I talked the talk. I held rallies. I went into my own pocket and funded rallies. I had a sign truck in front of her office.
Wow.
Did anybody else do that? Did anybody else call her out? Did anybody else put their head on the chopping block? For my efforts, what did I get? I got the support of a community, which I love. And I'll never, never forget that. But what else did I get? She tried to cancel me. June 16th, our last community board meeting, I get a letter dated June 17th. One day later, Mr. Havranek, your services are no longer required, but thank you for your past efforts. Love, Borough President Gibson. Love, Marjorie Velasquez. That's what they do. They try to cancel you. When you speak out, you speak out and they try to cancel you. The same way they muffle the voices of a community. 10,000 signatures on a petition. What more do you need to know? She stood in front of people and said, tell me what you want. Tell me what you want. You got 10,000 signatures and you don't know what we want? Then you keep telling us, I'm against this. And then you waited to the 11th hour and you go the day before. In the Daily News, it's written, you are against this thing. And then you go in front of subcommittee and committee and tell all your cohorts, instead of deferring to the wishes of a community, you turned coward and deferred to the wishes of the mayor and the city council, and you went and stabbed your community in the back. And that can never be forgiven, can never be forgotten. You are the Bruckner betrayer, and you can no longer hold this seat. You are treasonous. You are guilty of treason. Treason against your community. Plain and simple. There is no other way to make it nice. You did the ultimate betrayal, and it's unforgivable and unforgettable. And on election day, everyone here in this community better make it known. She cannot hold this seat. Plain and simple. And that's the way it works. The upzoning of Bruckner, she could have did more. How can you let 34 parcels of land, most of it, almost all of it, without homeowner knowledge, get upzoned? At the very least, she should have brought these people to the table with the community, gave the community a voice. She did not even allow us a seat at the table. And that is unforgivable. Her voice was not our voice. When I get into that council, my voice will be your voice. 100%. Because I will be working for you. Unfortunately, she thinks it's the reverse. And she needs to be taught a lesson. Plain and simple. Now, when you look at the other things that have gone on, and this is something that flew under the radar, which got to come out. There was a redistricting. Senate redistricting. She's in office 2 weeks. A seat becomes open, Senator Biagi's seat becomes open. Who throws a hat in the ring? She's not even in the council for 2 weeks, and she's looking to run. She wants to use our community like a stepping stone, like a ladder to get up the progressive ladder to somewhere, to progressive purgatory or whatever it is. Because the bottom line is, she wants to create a hell for us. She is hell-bent on destroying our low-density community. Because like I've told you before, you lose your zoning, you lose your community. And that's the way it is. And she wants to eradicate our quality of life. She wants to eradicate our oasis. She wants to eradicate our slice of suburbia. The slice that we have inside a city environment, the suburban lifestyle, which she happens to live in. And she wants to destroy it for the rest of us.
Terrible.
And that is disgraceful. 2 weeks she's in office and was looking to run. That got to be known. Think about this too. She's a very, very big proponent of the blue, isn't she? Oh my God. I don't think so. She is a closet defunder. A closet defunder. She claims she backs the blue. No, she doesn't. Let me tell you a story. July, 4th of July weekend, in my community. We have a young woman officer in my community, who lives right near Pelham Bay Park. Or I should say lived. She had to move. A group of activists came in and marched through our community. Why? Because of something that happened in the line of duty. They sprawled and scrawled and wrote hate messages all over the sidewalk, all over the street, because this young woman had to perform an act in the line of duty. And they kept coming back and coming back. When it was brought to our attention, what did she do? We want the DOT out there to just cover the hate, cover the hatred words. She did nothing. Nothing. I stood there 3 hours with the police captain. The police had to go back to their station, get their own paint, and cover the hated words themselves. She would not get a city agency out there to help the blue. And this young woman was doxxed over and over and over again. And I kept bringing it to the attention to various places, and no one wanted to take action. And unfortunately, she now had to move. She had to move because our councilwoman did not back the blue. In her world, she thinks we're going to get more cops. Can you imagine? Help wanted. You will not be backed by a politician. Your pay's going to stink. Your working conditions are going to stink. But we're going to get more police, right? Not in the world of Marjorie Velasquez, we're not. Not in that world. Not in that world at all. As a council member, what I would do is this. In order to create the environment that might be more palatable to our men in blue and women in blue who we adore, we have to take a look at some things. One is Criminal Justice Reform Act. Other are nuisance abatement acts. We got to look at the statutes within those and have some amendments done so we take the handcuffs off our police and put them on the criminals. That's where they belong. Our police are handcuffed right now. We have a police force that's handcuffed. We're watching our quality of life go down. We have a community who is gagged because our council member does not speak up for us, does not bring our words into the council. What are we supposed to do? A lot of us are ready to fight. Unfortunately, a few of us have chosen the path of flight. And I'm saying we have to stand together and fight because we can beat this. We can restore sanity to our community. We can restore our quality of life. We don't have to watch the downward spiral. We can bring it back together. Because as I said before, community is common unity. And it's all of you that put the U in community and unity. And it's inclusion that brings the solutions. And it's all of us together that could bring these solutions. And remember this, if we want to keep and reap the blessings of our fine quality of life, we must endure the fatigue of supporting it. We have to stand up and fight for what is right, for our rights, we must stand tall together, and we cannot give up. And we cannot give in. And on election day, on primary day, I'm the guy that can get it done. I put my head on the chopping block, and I'm not afraid. I will stand up to her no matter where she is and how she is. I don't care, because I love my community, and I am ready to fight for you. And I just need an army behind me. And I will say this. The bottom line is, she cannot hold that seat anymore. That seat is gone for her. I'm sorry. That's the way it has to be. She's the Bruckner betrayer, the Throgs Neck traitor. Remember that. And remember on primary day that's coming in June, I'm the guy that put myself out there. I'm the guy that stood up to the up zone. I'm the guy that stood for our men and women in blue. I'm the guy that will stand up for all of you. And I just need you to stand up for me. Thank you, and God bless you.
You didn't think I was finished talking. No. That was just my hors d'oeuvre. Now I can get the entree. Right, where's that Weisenheimer who was at the community meeting, said he wanted more gasoline, more octane? Where is he? There he is, right? You wanted more octane, right? That's what I am. Now the other reason that George is much better positioned to become your next city council person is because you look at the disproportionate registration. You live in a city councilmanic area, like most in the city, where the predominant number of registered voters are Democrats. That's not a bad thing. Most of us grew up in Democratic households. Most of us buried parents who would never vote for a Republican. But for some of us, we decided we would be free agents, we would change. So, in fact, in some places, you now have more independent registered voters than Republicans. But it doesn't mean a Republican can't win. And what I saw during the St. Patrick's Day parade, walking side by side with George, I saw Democrats coming up to him and thanking him. People identifying themselves. You know, I wish I could vote in the primary, but I'm a Democrat. And George would tell him, well, once I get through the primary, then you can vote for me against Marjorie Velasquez. So you understand, he's already built a relationship with the most important group of voters in the general election, Democrats. I mean, some of them will vote from the grave, right? So, you know why, George. People voted from the grave. That's a big cemetery over there. El Grande. But let's look at what's happened the last few election cycles. When I ran for mayor, the Republican county chair and Republican county put up a guy named Fernando Mateo, a Bill de Blasio Republican, right? I said to them, you gotta be kidding. I'm gonna crush this guy. What are you talking? Where's this guy been? He couldn't find this area, Dogs Neck, Morris Park. If he had a GPS, what are you talking about? It's the future, the here and now, the Republican Party, Latinos. I said, I agree. That's the next big group we have to go after. But it doesn't mean that every Latino or Latina is good. Look at AOC, all out crazy, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, leader of the Democratic Socialists of America, the Justice Warriors. Do we think that that is a Latino who does what is in the best interest of this flag, America?
Nope.
The most important reason you vote for somebody. Not somebody who says, I'm going to bring the bacon home. No. George Havranek is the best candidate because he will do the best for our country first. And if our country does well, then our state does well, our city does well, and your councilman and district will do well. It all starts with this. Now, I'm not going to give AOC AOC all out crazy, this flag, because if somebody has a lighter, we know what she might do with it. Let's face it, that's their politics. That's their politics. And Marjorie Velasquez is more with them than she is with you. I don't know if you're aware, but you know who had dinner on Saturday night at Gracie Mansion with Eric Adams, swagger man with no plan, the mayor of the illegal aliens? Because he gives ugats to us, buckets to us.
AOC with Caban.
That is correct. How did you know that?
Because I listened to
That's right, you listened to me on the radio. So can you imagine this piece of work, Eric Adams? He said, take on those socialists, you know, they're not good. Meantime, he's having dinner with AOC, and she tells him, I'm bringing my mini-me, come on. They hate the police. They defund the police. They want to remove the police. They hate the prisons. They defunded the prisons. They want to remove prisons. They tell you don't call 911, call 311. For what? Somebody's breaking into your house. What the hell is 311 going to do for you? That might be the last three things you say. 311, pow. You're gone. This is crazy. So, in which direction is Marjorie Velasquez? That's why, having met two of the candidates that George is running against, George, you're already in, as far as I'm concerned, the general election. This is a general election to take back the community from Marjorie Velasquez and the future of socialists coming into this area. When I went over to City Island, I saw big signs up everywhere. Black Lives Matter, which has become big, large mansions. Based on Sunaz, right? Donating Scado. They all own mansions now. I say big signs. What the hell happened? Where have I been? Did I disappear? Am I not a New Yorker? City Island. But they're organized. And they're coming into every community. And they intend on taking over our city, and they want us all to leave. They want to see for sale signs. They want to hear that at night you're cheating. You know, your gumata on the side, your boyfriend on the side is called Florida, or Georgia, or North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, Texas, Tennessee, because you're seeing. Wow, that's a pretty good buy. No taxes down there. Yeah, better quality of life. I know many of you got options, I'll put it. Many of our fellow citizens have already left, and the exodus will continue until we stop the flight, as George talked about. But who's going to get all those moderate Democrats to vote for them? None of those other Republicans I heard the other night. It'd be hard-pressed to get Republicans to come and vote for them in the primary. And this will be a low turnout vote because there's nobody on top of the ticket to drive the vote. So let's look at the recent history of electoral politics in this area. So the county chairman, Rendino, and the Republican Party in the Bronx, in the mayoral election said, we don't want Sliwa, we want Mateo. I crushed that guy here. I crushed him 80 points. 80 points. Why? Because I've been here. I started the Guardian Angels in the Bronx, February 13, 1979. I'm not a Johnny-come-lately. If you would have said Fernando Mateo, you would say, who is he? Oh, he's backed by the county. What does that mean? That means nothing nowadays. You have to have street cred. You have to have been busting your shoes. As George Havranek has said, he's been there for years. He's been a soldier in the streets. He's fought against those who would screw you and stab you in the back. You can't suddenly come on board as a candidate and think that you're going to make up for lost time. It doesn't work out that way. It's street cred. And then what happened in the general election? I got beat by Eric Adams, swagger man with no plan. Maybe it was because of those $5,000 customized suits, right? I don't know, where does he get that money for those customized suits? They glow in the dark, those suits. Pablo Escobar, when he ran the Medellin cartel in Colombia, didn't have suits that cost that much. Customized suits. And then he says, I'm a blue-collar guy.
Yeah, he said that.
Mark Quanamaya, you a blue-collar guy. You get wine, dined, and pocket line. In places like Club Zero Bond late at night, where whatever goes on in Club Zero Bond stays in Club Zero Bond. How many of you have been to clubs at night? Any of you been to a club after 12? Nothing good happens in a club after 12. That's the witching hour, right? Un Diablo comes out. The devil in you comes out. The hell, this guy always should say prayer. He wants to be a reverend. He's your typical politician, Democrats and Republicans. That's why if you've ever listened to my radio show, what do I say at the start? Curtis Lee was a politician, but he says, don't trust any politicians. And this is the anniversary of the attempted assassination of Ronald Reagan. And what did Ronald Reagan say? He said, trust but verify. You know what Curtis Sliwa said? Verify first, then trust the person. And I don't care if they're Democrat, Republican, Independent. You must prove yourself. George Havranek has done that 10 times over. 10 times over. But even in the general election, even though I lost citywide, I won this area overwhelmingly over Eric Adams. Overwhelmingly. And then Congressman Lee Zeldin, who followed and ran against crime wave Kathy Hochul. Notice I call her Hochul. You know what Hochul means? She's full of nonsense. Zeldin beat Hochul in this area. So it has been done, it can be done, it will be done, but you have to have a candidate who can get moderate Democrats. I don't think any of the other Republicans can. I think they're going to have a difficult time getting registered Republicans. But in a general election, you got to say who is the best candidate to get the moderate Democrats needed to be victorious. And that's George Havranek. Now, example. The other day, Morris Park, which is experiencing a crime wave, an elderly 73-year-old woman is in her own home, and some jadrul, some jackal, some animal, an enemy of society, she wakes up. He's on top of her, raping her in Morris Park. And then, when the guy is caught, they check the rap sheet. 500 Scott tissue papers long. Let's see. The Bronx Borough president was, the DA Clark, who's as bad as the DA in Manhattan, was, no. Nobody got upset about it. Nobody got excited about it. The only person I heard talking about it was George and Michelle when we sat with them at the diner. Tomorrow, I'm going to be down in that area outside of Jacoby Hospital, right along what used to be the Champs-Élysées Pelham Parkway. I remember years ago, I walked that area with Regis Philbin, who grew up in the nearby area. He's a Hayes man, went to Cardinal Hayes. And he was into arbicide. He wanted to lock people up who would harm those trees, those beautiful trees along Pelham Parkway. Because on this side of Pelham Parkway, as soon as you leave the train station and you start heading in the eastern direction of the Bronx, it's gorgeous. Residential area. People have been there for years. And now all of a sudden, because of upzoning, they're threatened. But now they want to transport prisoners from Rikers Island and house them in the empty facilities of Jacoby Hospital. Now you talk about blockbusting. That's the quickest way to cause people to put up a for sale sign and say, that's it, we're out of here. They're putting Rikers Island in Jacoby Hospital. Oh, but it's just the sick ones. Let me tell you something. For all these politicians, they talk about Rikers Island, which, when you commit a crime on Rikers Island, you know where you get prosecuted? Not in Queens. It's attached to Queens, Steinway. You get prosecuted in the Bronx, so nothing's going to happen to you. But the most interesting thing is, I've been locked up many times on Rikers Island in the beginning of the Guardian Angels. When you remember, the police were not all that enamored with me. They'd give me wooden shampoos, concrete. They'd have me stuck in concrete, and they'd lose my paperwork when I was on the rock. I love these politicians. Oh, Rikers, yeah. They know nothing about Rikers. And you're going to take men or women, or men who are in transition, or women in transition, whatever the term of the day is. There's so many terms. It's like 72 different gender references. I have vertigo. And you're going to put them in Jacoby Hospital because maybe they have an ailment? Are you out of your freaking mind? Why don't you do that where you live, politician? Notice they won't do that. They say, well, yeah, but this is the Good Samaritan thing to do. No, there's plenty of room on Rikers Island. Having been locked up there, there are many tiers, many units no longer used. They're empty. You just rehab one of those units, you make it manageable and humane, and you house them there. You give them their medical treatment, or you give them their mental health treatment. You're going to bring them into your neighborhood? What do you think they would do on the Upper East Side if they tried to do that?
Great.
What do you think they would do on Park Avenue? Not the Park Avenue in the Bronx or Brooklyn. The Park Avenue in Manhattan. They said, we want a unit here for about 60 prisoners from Rikers Island who are having a difficult time health-wise. Do you think the millionaires and the billionaires on Park Avenue in Manhattan would say, oh yeah, no problem. In fact, they could come and stay in my duplex. That would never happen. Where they put it? In your neighborhood.
Yeah, not in their backyard.
In your neighborhood. And they know what's going to happen to the people who own homes there. The old Italians, Greeks, Irish, the new Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, owners, African Americans, Caribbeans, West Indians. They're going to know that they're going to decide that's it. That's what forces us out. We're selling the house. And that shouldn't be. That should not be. And as you walk up and down Pelham Parkway, as you go into Morris Park, so many things. I can remember back in 1992, I was the commissioner of stickball for the city of New York because that was my sport. Yeah. And I put together a challenge. You had Rudy Giuliani and his team. He was running for mayor the second time. And the other team was Herman Badillo, who had been your borough president, had been the first Puerto Rican congressman, and then made the stupid mistake of leaving Congress to become a deputy mayor for Ed Koch, who 2 months later kicked him out of the car and said, hey, go get another job. But he was running for controller, a fusion. So you had Giuliani, the Republican, and you had Herman Badillo, the Democrat, who then became a Republican, and what happened? They saved the city. And we did it all over stickball in Morris Park, right? But that's the only way you recover your area. You got to get the Democrats involved. And there are common sense Democrats, most of them. Most of them are middle of the road Democrats. They're not radicals. So again, when you think of this election, you got to say which Republican of the choices you have has the best opportunity when he or she goes door knocking or stands outside of a supermarket or tries to engage people in conversation in a community meeting or outside of a church or a synagogue. Who has the best chance of getting those moderate Democrats? That's George Havranek, hands down. There's nobody that can argue that. Nobody who can argue that. So the question is, what are you going to do? I always believe that one man or one woman can make a difference. There's no other way. I now run Guardian Angels in 13 countries, 130 cities. It started. Myself, Arnold, 13 of us at the McDonald's on Fordham and Webster where I was the night manager. And people said it could never work. You'll get killed. And yet it expanded because we knew there were other people out there just like us, men and women, who dared to care, who would get involved. It starts with one person. Do you know how my endorsement of George Havranek came about? Could you raise your hand, please? This gentleman here is a neighbor of Arnold Salinas who owns a home in the area, as he does. He wanted to talk to Arnold to see if maybe he could convince me that George was the best of the Republicans. And he's a Democrat, right?
I am.
Right. That tells you something right there. The Democrat was the messenger. He says to his neighbor, Arnold, could you see if Curtis would talk with George Havranek? So I said, hey, Arnold, you're right there. Talk to him. You're like the right-hand guy. You'll talk to him. If you think he's copacetic, You think he's got the right stuff? I've heard his name. I've seen him at rallies in the past, but you never know. Sometimes people wig out. They go Meshuggah to Ubats. All of a sudden you see a tattoo that says, oh my God, you better get that lasered off your bicep. And so Arnold had an utacha de cafe with him, a little biscuit. Arnold calls up, said, oh, this guy is solid. 5-star, first class, top shelf. And so then I had the conversation with George, long conversation. Not even a consideration. So the other night when I was at the community meeting, and some of Mike Rendino's family came up and said, Curtis, you never even talked to the other candidates. I said, it doesn't mean when I go in a supermarket and I'm looking for ketchup that I have to try each and every ketchup or each and every mustard. I know what you guys are about. I don't have anything against you. But I also know what George has been before, what he has done, and when the community was gripped in crisis over upzoning, and everybody was so disappointed in Marjorie Velasquez, let me tell you, if you're disappointed, get ready. Politicians will disappoint you every day of the week. But it was a shock. It was a shock to the system. Everybody could have just crawled into their own little shells, their own little domiciles, their own little homes and said, oh, I guess that's just the way it is. They're all crooks, right? Come on. Right. How many of you had politicians? They are crooks. It's a question, a degree of how much larceny they commit. They lie. It's a question of how much they lie, right? I mean, come on. You're talking to Curtis Sliwa here, right? People would come up and shake my hand in the mayoral election. And they say, oh, you're a politician now, Curtis. I say, yeah, I kissed my first baby. I shook my first hand. That made me a politician. They say, oh, you got a little larceny in your heart now, right? You'll be taking some money. Hey, you're a good guy. When you put your beak in the trough, please don't take too much. I said, that's the general feeling that people have. Even of people that they know and they've grown up with. That's not who I am. But then again, they just assume. If you join that fraternity or sorority, it taints you. You become corrupt. You feel you're entitled. You come up with excuses. You lie because you say it was really for your good. Because politicians, and I've been with enough, I've lived with them, I've campaigned for them, Democrats and Republicans. What they truly believe is, you people are stupid. And they'll tell you, hey, they're stupid. Come on. They won't even know what I said 5 minutes ago, never mind 5 days ago, 5 weeks ago, 5 months ago. They're all still not. We got to lead them. If we didn't lead them to take a drink of water, they would die. They wouldn't even know to drink water. I'd say, you really believe that? Oh, absolutely. Democrats and Republicans. You think you're all stupid. Well, guess what? I was raised by my parents. Shasta Merchant Seaman, 54 years, Francesca, my mother. Do good things, and good things will come in return. Never ask when, why, or how. Just keep doing good things. And know out there, you're not the only one. You're not the Mashiach. You're not the anointed one. There are a whole lot of good people out there doing good things. They just don't get attention and recognition. Curtis, you must go out and find them. Don't ever let anybody tell you that people are jaded, skeptical, and they don't care, because that's a lie. Now imagine you have parents like that. For all the times I got knocked on my tuchus and I had to get up. Sometimes right cross, left hook, boom. Pick yourself up and come back swinging and winging in all different ways. I trust people. I don't trust politicians. I trust people. George Havranek is a person first before he's a politician. So now we have to rally up all the other peeps and people and get them to understand this man is doing it because he's doing it for the people. He's not doing it for his own personal gain, the political gain, but to all of a sudden feel like he's entitled. So you got to raise the money. He's now qualified for matching funds, 8-1. You give him $10 miraculously. Ali Kababa. Bang, it's $90. You say, how did you do that? Could I do that to pay my mortgage? Not quite. Not quite. But it's the rules. and we're gonna play by the rules. And we're gonna raise George the money necessary to compete. Because Marjorie Velasquez can inhale and exhale, and the Democrats will bankroll her infinitum, because they just want to maintain the power. We got to go out. There's still days left to do petitioning. I see this young man back here is a petitioning machine.
Yes, he is. Hurry out.
He was petitioning for me during the mayoral run. I've seen him petitioning for other candidates all over the city. And I'm sure some of you have gone door to door to get the names. And it's the most difficult thing in politics. Because they treat you like a used car salesman. Like you're selling light bulbs. Slam! I don't want it. You're a crook. I don't trust any of you. Or the best one, I never vote and I'll never vote. You know, people have died in battle to present. I don't care. Get out of here. Boom. It's a tough road for an insurgent. And George and Michelle and all of you have proven, those who have been with them side by side, that you're up to the task. You're taking on the county choice, the anointed one. And that means the deck is stacked in her direction. It didn't stop me. I crushed their anointed one. By the way, what's his name again? Fernando Mateo. Hey! By the way, I'm still waiting for that concession speech and that call to say, hey, you know, Curtis, you beat me fair and square. I lost Eric Adams. I gave a concession speech very early before he came on TV and spoke for like 1.5 hours. And I called him up. That's what you do. You humble yourself. But in the back of my head, you know what I said? Swagger man with no plan. I'm coming back after you. I'm running again. Because the job ain't done. So come on, let's all get it together. Let's give a great round of applause for George, Michelle, all the here. Let's fight for what we know is right. To save this community, to stop the upzoning, to get the police that you need, and to restore the quality of life so that people don't live. Where's that guy? Is that enough fire for you? Is that enough fire?
If anybody wants to make campaign contribution, now's the time.
On fire.
If anybody wants to update their party like we did last time, it's now the time, okay?